Hello, it's system review time, and let me just pick this up and I'll show you what I'm reviewing today. If you've seen the unboxing, you will know. It is the Chuwi HI13 Windows 10 2-in-1 type tablet computer. That's a mouthful, isn't it? It's big. I can hide my whole head behind it, it's so big. We'll get on to that and everything else actually. This is heavy, I'm going to put it down, and this is actually going to be one of the most difficult review videos I've ever made, partly because I'm not sure how I'm going to position the camera and this to demonstrate how, well, I won't be demonstrating how I use it, because how I use it will be different to how I'm demonstrating it, but all that will become clear. I'm going to put it on the desk for the moment and we can have a closer look at it. Yeah, excuse me a moment and I'll set things up. Okay, I'm keeping my hand there because the camera needs something to focus on. It was struggling. So, the Chuwi HI13. Specifications, I'm just reading these off of the screen. The CPU is an Intel Apollo Lake Celeron N3450. I don't know what that means. I'm not a technically minded person. So, whatever. CPU goes from 1.1 gigahertz up to, I think it's 2.2 or 2.4, something like that. I'm looking at the wrong part of the screen here to know the answer to that. But you know, it generally runs at 1.1 gigahertz and then it will boost up to 2 point something. It has got 4 gigabytes of RAM. It says 64 gigabytes of ROM. You see, I don't believe that's actually ROM. It's storage. It's flash storage. It's where it stores the operating system and the programs you can put on it. I don't know why they call that ROM, because ROM is read-only memory, and that's not read-only, that's read and write. They're talking nonsense. Excuse me. But that happens a lot on a lot of websites and things and stuff. Wi-Fi support, yes, lots of Wi-Fi support. It does pretty much all of the usual Wi-Fi things that you would expect. It's got Bluetooth. Screen is a 13.5 inch IPS thing. Resolution of 3000 by 2000. The screen is lovely. I'll turn it on in a minute. I'm still reading stuff, then I'll turn it on and we can see more about how it looks. 2 cameras on it, one on the front, one on the back. There's a camera there. Is my arm in the way? My arm is probably in the way. I was doing that last time. There's another camera there. You can see that. What else have we got? The camera's 5 megapixel on the back, 2 megapixel on the front. Do you know what? I never actually know which is the front and which is the back. Because I would call this the front. It's the side I look at. But I think they mean the front is the other side. Whatever. Connectivity type C, I think it's talking about the USB. It's certainly got one of those. When I find it, there, here we go. Type C is that one there, USB. That is what you power it with. Excuse me. Micro USB, that will not micro USB, micro SD. That will take up to 128 gigabytes, and really, this being a PC and PCs being kind of greedy in terms of storage and stuff, you really want to get one of those. There's another USB, which is that one. I would call that micro USB. I don't know what others might call it. It's the kind of thing you power your phone from. There is I don't know what that is. So the microphone, that is actually probably the microphone. That is some kind of micro HDMI. That is where you plug in your headphones. Speakers, 2 on this side and 2 on this side. Power on and off there. Volume rocker. Do you know what? I find this volume rocker wrong to me, because that is increase and that is decrease. I would have them the other way around. I want to be clicking on the right hand side to turn my volume up and on the left to turn it down. It's back to front to my mind. Probably won't bother many people, but it bothers me. Other things I can tell you: battery capacity 10,000 milliamp hours. I don't know if that's a lot or not. Charging time 3 to 4 hours from like completely flat to completely full. Yeah, that sounds realistic. You get a power supply with it. Battery life, we'll talk about that in a bit. Still looking at stuff on this here website. Media formats, blah, it's all the usual stuff you'd expect on a PC. Other stuff: product weight 1.0990 kilograms, because they like to be specific. All I can say about that really is, for a tablet, it's bloody heavy. But you know what? It's huge, so you expect that. Now, let's see this thing in operation. This will be interesting. Boot up time. I never know how long to hold my finger on the start button. I'm used to starting Android tablets, not Windows tablets. I'm sure this is exciting for you, but I just want to show you something here, because this thing does a thing that I find, well, this. To skip disk checking, press any key within 5 seconds. What key? I have no keys. There are no keys attached. It's a tablet without a keyboard currently. And then it's scanning and repairing drive C. And I don't know that it does that for a moment. The first time I took this out of the box, it was already powered on, which was odd. I don't know if the power switch got knocked or pressed as I was unboxing it, but it turned on and it went to a screen and it sat there and went "duh" and saying press this thing on the screen to skip this, but the screen was not responding, and so I just sat with my finger on the power button and turned it off, because it was the only way I could make it do anything. And ever since turning it back on, it has done that at boot up. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it's a fault or a standard thing. Nothing else ever does anything unexpected, but I find that slightly peculiar. But then we get on to this, which is, well, it is your home screen, and let me tell you, it is gorgeous. I'm going to zoom in, and you probably won't be able to see because it'll probably go all blurry or something, because cameras, let's just, no. I'm just trying to show the resolution of this. You're not going to get the, I'm not going to be able to demonstrate it properly. It's gorgeous. I mean, this is big. It is. I mean, here's my hand, and it's immensely big for a tablet. I'm used to 7-inch tablets and Android phones. I mean, I think my LG G4 phone is quite big for a phone, and I'm used to using a Tesco Huddle 7-inch Android tablet and other tablets that are effectively 7-inch, and compared to them, this is immense. It's like having a TV on your lap, and that is the thing. You will probably have this on your lap if you're using it as a tablet. I'm actually going to show you how I have found myself using this, because I don't like using it on the desk. Partly, well, it's heavy, and this, I worry, I've heard it said that this is metal. I don't know if that is metal or not, or if it's some kind of coated plastic. It feels nice. It hasn't got scratched, but I worry that with all the weight of this thing, with it sitting, I don't want it to get scratched. Yeah, as you can see there, it has now, yeah, it will switch orientation. The curious thing about it is it's quite slow to switch orientation, and that is both a good and a bad thing. It's good in that it won't switch orientation if you just happen to, you know, do you ever use your phone and you tilt it while you're using it, and you tilt it in a direction you don't want, and it switches orientation, and it's a pain in the ass. Well, this doesn't do that. You can you can tilt it a certain way for a moment and it's fine. But if it then does change orientation and you don't want it to, it takes an age for it to come back. You might just decide, I can't be bothered, and turn it over. It's quite slow at switching, and as I say, that is both good and bad. But I was going to show you how I use this, because I don't generally have it sitting on the desk when I'm using it. I've been trying to find ways, real world usage. If this was mine for everyday use, what would I do with it? How would I use it? I'm going to show you that now. Okay, I've chopped off my head. Sorry. Hi. But this is necessary so you can see. Mostly I have found myself doing this. It is that big that, unlike say an Android tablet, come on now, bring up my browser, there we go. Unlike an Android tablet where you use it like that, or I use an Android tablet like that, I'll just be sitting there clicking around and doing stuff. This is too damn heavy for that. Your arm will get tired. I can't do it like that. So I find myself doing this. It's like a tea tray. If they made this thing waterproof, I'd have my browser just there and put my cup of coffee just there. But you don't want to risk spilling your coffee on it and killing it. But it's big, it's heavy. Resting it on your lap like this. I'm not one for using laptops. I've got a little netbook and I don't use it for general browsing when I'm downstairs in the living room watching telly. If I want to look something up, I do it on my phone. This I actually really like for that kind of purpose, just cross-referencing whilst watching telly, looking on IMDb, you know, it's like, who's that actor, what's he been in, I know him from something, bam, instead of using my phone, use this, and it's on my lap, and it's great for that. Another way I found myself using it was cradling it like a baby, because it is too damn heavy to do just hold in one hand, but holding it like that I found it worked. If I wanted my other arm free and I don't know what, say I had something else on my lap like a cat, which happened quite frequently, I would be sitting holding it and doing stuff on it like this. Just the size dictates how you use it, and it is both a positive and a negative. The weight of it and it forcing the way you use it can be seen as a negative. But on the positive side, that screen is gorgeous. And I've got pretty bad eyes, to put it mildly. I mean, we're not bordering on blindness or anything, but my eyes are crappy. And if I spend much time looking at my phone screen or the GPD Win, my eyes hurt. I get pretty bad eye strain. I sat and used this, or have used this on several occasions for pretty lengthy periods of time, and no eye strain whatsoever. I find the size of the screen actually really, it's just easy to work with. It's easy on the eyes. Brightness is great. This is on about 75% brightness, and it's nice. The downside of that brightness and the uber high resolution, I mean 3000 by 2000 is pretty immense, is that will drain your batteries. How quickly it will drain the batteries is questionable. I have played some pretty intensive games on it, and we'll look at some later, and it hammers the battery. I mean, you might, if you're lucky, get 2 hours out of it. I wouldn't be surprised if you got less. But on the other hand, for just casually browsing the internet whilst watching telly or something, I don't know, 4 to 6 hours seems realistic. Now, the day that I got this, I did a little bit of gaming. I did quite a lot of just casual browsing, and quite a lot of it was just on standby. The screen had blanked itself out and you had to push the on-off button to bring it back awake, so to speak. And I only charged it once that day, and it lasted 9 hours of that mishmash of different types of usage and got down to just above 20% power before I turned it off at the end of the day. So I think for general usage, you know, if you're going to do a bit of this and a bit of that, it's quite impressive. If you're going to be using it all day, heavy usage, you probably want to leave it plugged in. But you know, if you're using it normal usage, as they might call it, I think the battery life is pretty decent, or adequate anyway. It's not breathtaking, but I think it's what you can expect from a tablet of this size with this kind of screen. It's not unreasonable. Now, here is a thing. What is this thing for? Because what I've got here and what it's capable of doing are not necessarily the same thing. The way I'm using it is dictated by the fact that all I have is this part, the tablet. So I'm using it as a tablet. It is part of a 2-in-1, and a very particular kind of 2-in-1. You can get a keyboard that is made specifically for it that fits into these here lugs, these here, magnetic fit, and data whatever connection here, and it just slots in and you use it as a laptop. And that keyboard aspect, I think, affects or could affect how you use it. And I have found myself in certain circumstances where having a keyboard would have been very useful. There we go, it's gone on, changed its orientation. Having a keyboard, I really needed a keyboard, and I'll talk about that later. I'll explain why I needed a keyboard. There is a stylus that you can get for this as well that is pressure sensitive. I'm holding it this way, waiting for it. There we go, do your thing. A pressure sensitive stylus that would be very handy as well, and I'll talk about that later as well. But as a tablet only, which is all I can review this as because I don't have the keyboard, how does it work out? Okay, let me show you a thing. I'm used to using Android tablets. I want to put something in just to prop that up. Let's put I've got an eraser here, just because I want to prop that up slightly. I'm used to Android tablets, but I've also, with say the GPD Win, if you tap in a text entry area like I just did there, a keyboard, a virtual keyboard would pop up here that you could type on. That doesn't happen here. If I want to type something, I've got to press this here keyboard icon and it will bring up a keyboard. That annoys me. I want that to appear automatically. If I've tapped in a text entry area and I don't have a keyboard plugged in, I want that to appear automatically, and it doesn't. And I don't know, maybe there's an option somewhere to make it come up automatically, but if there is, Anyway, there are options within this here keyboard, virtual keyboard. You can have different styles of keyboard. You can have that usual one. You can have this where you've got it spreads the keyboard out on either side of your browser. I find that peculiar, actually. I've never seen that before. You've got this, which is clever, handwriting recognition. Whether or not it's going to Reeve, it didn't quite manage that. Though, to be fair, my handwriting was appalling. Bring the keyboard back up then. Now it's not coming back up. I don't know why. That's a bit annoying. Nope, can't bring it back. Pants. Well, that is annoying. Okay, I have rebooted to basically make that keyboard work again. Here it is with the touch thingy. As you can see there, I've written Steve, and it has recognised. I hope the camera is picking that up. It bothers me that it disappeared like that. I don't know why it did that. No, that's cool. You can basically erase it with that button. I guess that is space. That would be return. That gives us the other options. I am disconcerted that it disappeared. I don't know why it did that. That one doesn't seem to do anything. Maybe that's when you've got a keyboard plugged in. This is the default one. Now, here is another thing about this that is noteworthy, I would say. I'm just going to tilt that again. On every other touchscreen keyboard that I've ever used, you have this layout, and that's fine. And if you want numbers, they're not along the top. You have to press that. Oh, but they're over here. And that bugs me a little bit, just because it's not what I'm used to. But it's kind of like, here you are typing away. And in fact, the real life situation, I've just brought up my browser. I want to type. I tap in there, and I want a keyboard to appear, and it doesn't. So I've got to tap over here on my right. That brings up a keyboard. I go blah blah blah, and that disappeared. Probably should type properly. This is a... It's not typing anywhere because I haven't got anything in me. Yeah, okay. So what? There. T. What? Why is it doing that? Y P I N G. I don't know. Was I doing something wrong? Why did it disappear like that? That's just a mess. Anyway, you bring up your keyboard and you're typing away, and then you want to press numbers, and so you've got to go over to the left to press the number thing, and then they're over on the right. And if you're just typing one-handed, like I sometimes do, that's all a little bit of a pain. So, yeah, we'll just look at that again. Cursor thingy in there, bring up keyboard by clicking down on the right, type some... It's when I'm in that box there. It's alright if I'm typing in the URL area. That's kind of weird, actually. I don't like that. So if you want to search, you basically have to search in the URL box. How is that going to work on other websites? Let's go in the YouTube search box. Okay, it's just on Google that is an issue. But it does bug me. If you're doing it one-handed, you've got to go down there and then your numbers appear over here. I think that is just... That's something you have to get used to. It's not a major big deal. It's just slightly irksome. There are definitely things to get used to here, especially if you're using Google. Type in your URL box, not in your search box, because your keyboard will disappear. Yeah, so that is a thing. Okay, another thing that is of note, worth commenting on, because we have looked at the connectivity of it, the stuff that you can plug in or whatever, the USB basically. You're going to use USB-C for your power, and then you've got that micro USB, which is your main data transfer, I suppose. Here's the thing. I use my phone for general browsing and stuff. I don't generally want to get stuff off of my main computer onto my phone. This thing I am likely to want to use as a computer. I'm going to want all of my, maybe my video files, certainly my photographs, my music, other things, video files, big stuff. Stuff that sometimes is going to be too big and too awkward and too clunky to transfer across, say, using Dropbox. So the question is, how do you get stuff, how do you easily transfer stuff to this from your main PC? Okay. My usual answer is I use a USB memory stick kind of thing like this. But that ain't going to work here because there isn't a normal full-sized USB. So you're going to have an adapter like that. Fortunately, I had one. I've got several. I actually have a tin full of cables and wires and adapters and things and stuff. And things like this aren't expensive. It's just a minor inconvenience. Not a big deal. You will need something like that though if you want to do that kind of data transfer, if you don't have a spare micro SD card floating around, or if you've actually already got a micro SD in here. I suppose you could take it out and put it in your PC and transfer onto that. It's doable, but yeah, using things like that is not entirely convenient. Another thing that I have found, which was a bit disappointing, when I reviewed my the GPD Win, I plugged in a DVD drive, a USB DVD, and the GPD Win recognised that. This thing won't recognise my DVD drive via USB. I don't know if it's just that drive or not. I can't tell you. I don't know if another drive would work. Using this, yeah, it didn't want to know, which is a pity, but I suppose it's only really a problem if you're wanting to install stuff like this off of DVD. But these days, pretty much everything I've got on DVD is available on GOG. I did buy this again on GOG just to see how well it played, and we'll have a look at that later. Yeah, it's a point worth noting though. So, this is a gaming channel. Indeed, it's a retro gaming channel, and many of you will be wanting me to address that aspect of this here tablet. So I'm going to do that. How well does it game? And more specifically, how well does it do emulators? I've plugged this. It is a USB Xbox 360 style pad. It's not a genuine 360 pad, it's a rip-off replica, you know, thing. Running into that USB adapter. Let's see how well it works. What are we going to start with? MAME UI64. We'll bring that up, maybe. It's this actually is a very accurate and sensitive touch screen in terms of it knows where you put your finger. What I'm not so good at is knowing whether have I tapped it twice? Has it? Yeah, there we go. This MAME on here doesn't seem to entirely like the screen resolution, in that I can make this bigger, but the fonts are tiny, and I've not been able to sort that out. I don't know why, I can't tell you. Some of it, like these, the menu things are just fine, but the lists are tiny. And I have gone into views. Oh, I can't find the thing that I need. It's probably possible to sort that out, but I don't know what's going on there. It's all tiny. Now, what was I going to show you? There were a couple of games I was going to demonstrate how good this is. I got told off for doing Virtua Racing twice recently in one video. I would normally go straight to Virtua Racing to demonstrate how well does that play on here, because it takes an amount of processing power. But there are a couple of other games that I remember. go to that one, because there are some I've already configured for the controls on, and this is one. Cruising World. Now I've got multiple versions on here, I hope it's the right one. Now, a thing that I discovered whilst setting up MAME and learning how to use it. You need a keyboard, and that is okay if you're in windowed mode like this, and you can pull up your keyboard like that, and you know, you'll want tab to set certain things in that, and you can switch between the window and, will it? Actually, I don't know if it will. Maybe not. Okay, what's going on here? How many versions have we got running? Several. Yeah, okay, that's not going to work. If you want to set your controls, you are gonna have to plug a keyboard in, which is what I actually did. I found myself in the awkward position of, I had an emulated program going, an emulated game, and I wanted to bang out of the game, and to do that you press escape. Well, I didn't have an escape button. I was full screen, I couldn't pull up that keyboard, and it looks like that doesn't make a difference anyway. Very fortunately, what I did have was this, so I unplugged the joypad, plugged this in, pressed escape, pressed tab, set up lots of toing and froing, and in fact eventually what I did was plugged in a hub, and I plugged in the joypad and the keyboard at the same time through the hub to configure the controls. You're gonna have to have some kind of keyboard to use MAME on this. It is awkward because you just have that one USB. Now that can be solved probably by having either a Bluetooth keyboard or joypad. I don't have a Bluetooth keyboard. What I do have is one of these little iPegger Bluetooth joypads, and I thought, okay, I'll try this then. I'll have this plugged in, I'll have this keyboard plugged in through the USB, and I'll use this through Bluetooth. Nah, you would need a better Bluetooth joypad than this, because it just didn't want to know. It wasn't recognizing it as a joypad. Anyway, am I on? Yes, we are on the right one. Have we got sound? We need another credit. Yeah, we've got sound. 3 credits to start. God, this is an expensive game. I didn't actually. Oh, I want automatic. There we go. Yeah, we'll use that car. I actually prefer the red car, but whatever. Oh, I didn't want that. It's not. You get that slight echoing and repeating of the sound that says it's not totally up to the job. You need a little bit more. Oh God, a little bit more horsepower. I don't like this car. It's twitchy. Yeah. But as you can see, it will. MAME works. You will have some awkwardness. Oh dear, getting yourself set up. But it's got enough. It's got enough brute force to run games like this reasonably well. Pick the right car. Don't pick this one because it's not very good. Now, okay, I've got several versions of MAME running at the same time there. That was me double tapping on that thing to try and launch it. It was just being slow. I was thinking I haven't done it right. I had just been slow. It's possible actually that would run a bit quicker now that they're gone. Anyway, here is what this is great at. Let me just find the right one and you'll know what I'm talking about. Tip it up that way. Let it do its thing. Then I need to pull back from here, don't I, so you can see. Yeah. So much reflection, I am sorry about that. Let's see if we can get rid of the reflection. Oh, it's not ideal. That is a thing, it is a very reflective screen. It's also a fingerprint magnet, really, really. If you're the kind of person who is upset by fingerprints, that's something that's worth keeping in mind. So, Dodonpachi. If you've played this on your PC in MAME or on anything in MAME, you will know it is a vertically oriented game, and if you play it on a horizontally oriented screen, you end up with whopping great big black areas at the sides. And it is lovely to tip this tablet up on its side and play this full screen, and it's a big screen, 13.5 inches of vertically oriented gorgeousness. And for this kind of game, there's nothing like it. It's fantastic. It looks lovely. You're not going to be getting the best impression of it from where you're sitting, because you know, horizontal screen, camera pointing at screen, all of that. It's just, from where I'm standing, this is great. I'm wearing the wrong glasses and can't focus from here, but whatever. It's lovely. Does this alone make it worth buying one of these? I obviously, that's a dumb question. But if you've got one, this is a great thing to do with it. MAME on vertically orientated, I never know which is the right word there. It doesn't matter. It's great. Another really cool thing, if you're going to go vertical like this, Para JVE. Your PC ran into a problem and needs to restart. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, that was unfortunate. Let's have another go after rebooting. Para JVE. I have used this, I have played it, it was great. It is a, well, you'll see what it is. It's a Vectorx emulator, and on a vertical screen like this, it's great. It's the, oh dear, wrong button. Where's the thrust button? There's the thrust button. It's the best Vectorx emulation I have played, and with this orientation of screen, it's not as good as a real Vectorx, no two ways about it. The blacks aren't black, well, there is no black here. You can play it with the overlays off, that might be preferable. I should actually have a go at that in a moment. But it is so high resolution on this thing that you could believe they were, whoops. Let's see, display. Glow settings, overlay rendering. Let's get mode 1. What is this? Oh, well that's a bit better. That's actually quite a bit better. Whoops! I didn't want to do that. Oh, yeah, but there you go. Vectorx emulation. Impressive. Oh no, what other overlay renderings? Mode 11, what's that look like? Oh no. Well, I guess that's probably going to be the vector setting, vector go, draw overlay. Let's get rid of that. That, you see that. What happens? Display, draw chassis. Yeah. I would like it to draw the chassis, but get rid of the fake reflection on the screen. But that is, it's not perfect, but it's great. it's the best. It is the best Vectorx emulation I have ever. Oh, you just got a load of reflection all over the screen like that, haven't you? That's high. Unfortunate. That's just shows how reflective this is. But it is impressive, and you can tweak that and get it to your liking and have the best Vectorx emulation you're ever going to have. Right, let me move things around, I think, and we'll try some other emulators. Okay, Yabuse, or Yabors, whatever you want to call it, Saturn emulator. That's decent. You have to use the D-pad here. I've got this not right. I can go off the bottom of the screen. We don't want that. That runs nicely. It's just I'm doing this because it's my default go-to game on the Saturn to demonstrate how well does it emulate the Saturn, because the Saturn is a difficult console to emulate. I have got the frame skip set on here, and it does suffer some slowdown. Whoops. I would say it's playable. It's not perfect, not by a long shot, but that particular game is playable. We'll have a look at another one. That's not right. Open ISO. Sega Rally. You can hear that slowing down there. Right, I think you're getting an impression already, and we haven't started yet, but I mean it works, but oh dear, the frame rate isn't quite up to it. I mean, I can play with a juddery frame rate, but this is just a little bit too slow on this game for it to be playable. I can't get around this adequately. So yeah, Saturn emulation, very patchy. One last one to look at emulation wise, because this surprised me after I struggled so hard with the Saturn. This is very dependent on screen size. If you go full screen, forget it. But if you run it in a window about so big, and given that this thing has an immensely big screen for something that is just going to be sitting on your lap. There we go, I was resizing the wrong window. About so big will go. I'll edit that sound out. Okay, I've turned the sound down because I don't want Nintendo picking up on that and giving me copyright strikes, because they do that kind of thing and it is the sound that they pick up on. But as you can see, in a window it is quite playable. The sound is a little bit glitchy, you can't hear that because I've turned it down. But it's playable. If you do that full screen, yeah, not so much. It's slow and the sound will be horrendous. So it is, this one is very dependent on how big you have your window. But it's curious actually, and I've found this not just on this tablet but also on the GPD Win. Ooh. Do you know what? I've never been up here. Shows how well I know this game. Not very well. What was I saying? Yeah, it's like Dolphin is optimized for Double Dash, because I've tried putting in that Star Wars game, and that, like I said, not just on this tablet but on the GPD Win as well. And what is it, Rogue Leader? And that just, I can't do anything to make that run at a playable speed. So I don't know how well other games run on this emulator, but certainly this, if you're running not full screen, is very playable, and that's a good thing because it's one of my favourite Mario Kart games. So there's that. Now, what about not emulating? What about native PC games? Again, there is the issue of you really want a keyboard plugged into this. If you've just got this as a tablet and don't have a keyboard, there is the potential to run into difficulties. But bearing that in mind, and given that I do have some keyboard ability, because I've got this, I was so glad they sent me this. Will it play Crysis? Sometimes not, and that's the thing I forgot. You see what just happened? I don't understand. Crysis on here, and I had to download this from GOG because I couldn't install it from my USB DVD drive. Crysis will not boot, even though it's installed, unless I plug in a keyboard. And I've just got to make sure that this keyboard is connected first. It's still pairing. Okay, that's paired. Now if we boot Crysis, it should work. Give it a moment, maybe, please. There we go. Now, yes. It took me a while to work out that that was what the problem was. Oh hey, I didn't see you there. Nice here, isn't it? Come on now, there we go. Now it's running, I can unplug the keyboard again. And re-plug in the joypad. Use the joypad to navigate. Which is slightly awkward, though you can do it touch screen as well, which is good. Loading time is quite good. I've had this load much more slowly off of an actual PC, like desktop PC with a proper hard drive, and this screen has taken forever. So loading times off of the flash memory of this thing is not too bad. Apologies about the reflection, but I can't do anything about that. I don't have... No, that's all reflected light from outside, and I'm not in a... I haven't got curtains. But there we go. There. I don't know if that's shimmering. Is that normal or is it glitching? I haven't really worked it out. It only does it on this grass here. So it works. Mostly I have got the settings on low and it's playable mostly. At the earliest stages and certain other stages it will jerk and judder, and it's like it's hitting a bottleneck while it's well there. it runs into bottlenecks and goes slowly. I'm going to edit this bit out because of the voice. Maybe I won't edit that out. Whatever. So you saw it kind of glitched, and it'll hit places where it just suddenly slows down and glitches out and stutters and causes you problems. And that is on, everything is low except one or two settings that I put up to medium. Oh dear. Yeah, there it is stopping again. Oh. I'm not good on this with joypad at all, not remotely good. Oh. There's a Jeep around here somewhere, I don't know where he is. Oh, but I'm going to die, and I'm pushing the wrong button. Anyway, yeah, you probably want everything set on low. As a comparison, comparing this with, I mean, it's not really right to compare this with the GPD Win in that they are different animals. But the GPD Win is the only thing I've got here that is a similar price range running Windows. I mean, this thing is probably intended to be compared with something like what do you call it, Microsoft Surface Pro tablet kind of thing, maybe, but I don't have one of them to compare it to, so I have to compare it with the GPD Win, and the Win is better at this game. I have that on, everything is on medium settings except one or two things which I have on high. This thing is on lowest settings with one or two things on medium, and it struggles a bit where the Win doesn't. So it's not ideal for this game. It can do it, but it's not great. And I do find this to be the best demonstration of power in terms of gaming capability. Yeah, you'll see it every so often stuttering and pausing and stuff. Not great. You could play it if you really wanted to and didn't have anything else to play on it, but honestly, I wouldn't myself. I know I should be putting myself on maximum strength and I'd be just tearing him to pieces, but right, let's just exit that. And actually you can exit with the joypad. I was going to plug the keyboard thing back in, but I don't need to. Oh, maybe I do. There we go. Sometimes it's quicker to just press the screen. Fingerprints be damned. Okay then, so we've ascertained that this thing is maybe not great at gaming. What is it good at? That's a good question. Here is a thing I think. I can't give you a definitive answer here on this because I don't have the stylus. But I think with the right software, which I don't have because I have Photoshop on CD and I can't install it because... so I'm going to load up GIMP, which is... Well, I'm not familiar with GIMP, but you know, it's a graphics program. So we'll give that a go. File. I have installed... I've got this stylus. This is not the stylus that's intended for use with this tablet. There is a touch sensitive stylus that I think would be great. This thing has no touch sensitivity. It's just like using a load your oh, alright. That's really quite... I don't know why that happens. I can't make it pull down a menu if I click on the file menu. I have to start on the edit menu and then move across. But once I do that, here's a photo what I did take once upon a time. I can't English today. There. And I think for photo editing, if you were able to get Photoshop onto this, and with a touch sensitive tablet stylus, I mean, this would be absolutely fantastic for working with graphics, photo editing, that kind of thing. I don't have what I need to demonstrate that kind of thing, and I don't have the knowledge about how to use GIMP. Filters, blur, enhance, distort, light and shadow. Let's give that a go. Gradient, flare, spark. I have no idea. Let's just twiddle some things and see what happens. So we're not getting a lot of accuracy here because this stylus is not. This stylus I got with a case for my Tesco Huddle. Let's see what that looks like. It might not do anything because I don't know what I'm doing. No, that didn't do anything. Oh no, it's doing stuff. It's not speedy. I don't know how fast this would be on another system. It's responsive in terms of drawing lines with the stylus. How good it would be for using on Photoshop, or if you were a person who knew how to use GIMP. I don't know. It might be that this is just how fast this particular process works. Go faster. I'm going to edit this to speed it up, maybe. Or maybe you want to know how long it'll take. Perhaps I'll leave it. Let it run. I might get bored waiting. It's probably not a realistic test to be doing. I think if you were a photographer in the field and you wanted to do some processing while you're out there, I don't know, you've got some action photos you've just taken for your newspaper and you've got this tablet in your rucksack and you want to touch it up and then email it into your office for printing immediately, this could be a very useful thing to do because you have control over the retouching and stuff. You can do it in the field. It reminds me of stuff I'm doing on my photography course, like the old school photographers with their large format cameras who had to take their processing lab with them in a wagon or a cart or something and take the photos and then process them right there in the field. I mean, that's history, but it could kind of enable that kind of thing. Do your processing in the field. Yeah, okay, I'm going to give up on waiting for that to process. It's probably a ridiculous thing to have tried to have done because I don't know what that process was because I'm not familiar with GIMP. And I just probably pressed discard. Yeah, that. So okay, I'm going to sit down and talk to camera now because I've shown you everything I was going to show you. And I will give my conclusions. Okay, so having played around with this for several days, I've got it upside down. In fact, I'm not going to hold it here and show you. You know what it looks like by now. And it's heavy, so I'll put it down. The Chuwi HI13 Tablet. What do I think of it? This is the most difficult part because I know that GearBest will be wanting a glowing review, but I have made it my condition on doing these is that I must be allowed to be honest. So, glowing review? There are things that it is good at. It is great for sitting on your lap and browsing while you're watching telly or generally doing some serious browsing. It's great for that. You need to be aware of certain things, like if you're using Google, put your cursor in the URL box, not in the search box, because your keyboard will disappear. I don't know why that happens. It strikes me as a fault. The handwriting recognition is great until it disappears, requiring a reboot. And there are little irks, like having to push a key to make the keyboard appear. Things like that are irksome. The screen itself, the high resolution, the brightness of it, the responsiveness of it as a touch screen are fantastic. I really like those aspects of it. I find having it on my lap and browsing, it is the only thing I'm able to do that with in the living room without it hurting my eyes. If I'm using my phone or a tablet, I'm having to peer over my glasses and hold it close, and that hurts my eyes. This thing, I have it on my lap and it's beautiful and it doesn't hurt my eyes, and I can do it for hours on end, and I love doing that. Battery life is what you would expect. If you're gaming, you're going to kill your batteries rapidly. If you're doing a bit of browsing, it's going to give you a few hours. If you've just got it idling, it will sit all day quite happily, and if you just pick it up every now and then to do a little bit of whatever, it'll last all day. But as you saw, and I will include the issues that I had, there are issues. Stability is a problem. Things stop working for no obvious reason. You know what, I haven't actually shown you how good the cameras are. My bad, they're not great. I'm not going to pick it up and record them again. They work. They are not great. They are actually, I mean, if you want to do Skype, they're absolutely fine. What you're not going to do with this is go outside and take fantastic photographs, and you're also not going to do what you see some reporters doing. If there's like a news, you know, outside the courthouse or parliament or whatever, and your reporters are there with their iPad and they're filming it like that. You're not going to do that. Firstly, because it's too big and you'll look like an idiot, and secondly, the picture quality is just plain not good enough. It's quite poor. But I don't think that the poor camera quality matters, given that it is so damn big. You're not going to do that kind of thing anyway. It's not designed for photography. You're not going to do photography. I don't even know why they put that camera there. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. But that camera, yeah, you can Skype with that and it'll be fine. Audio, you're not going to listen to your music on it unless you've got headphones, because frankly the speakers on it are horrendous. The sound quality, I should have... let's show you. Okay, I'm cranking the volume up high here. I'm trying.
Playthrough with you, anything like that. It's just me playing the game badly, so you can see what it looks like. Can't remember what control. Oh, there we go.
Okay, so it's not fair to say it's horrendous. It's clear. It does clarity. What it doesn't do is any bass or mid-range. Everything is treble. So while it will be fine for doing Skype calls and having conversations like that, anything where audio is the main focus and audio enjoyment, like music or watching films, while you will love the graphical quality, the clarity of the visuals, the sound, you just want to plug headphones in or have a Bluetooth speaker or speakers. Don't, you know, if you're going to watch a film or listen to music, don't rely on the internal speakers, because they're not up to it. Which is a shame. Given that there are 4 of them, that's quite surprising. This thing is huge and has 4 speakers and they sound not good. Where this is my LG phone. It's quite small in comparison. It only has, I don't know how many speakers are in it, but it sounds a whole lot better. This does bass. The HI13 does not do bass. I've forgotten what I've said now. So yeah, ultimately it comes down to, this is good for browsing. It is really good for browsing. It may or may not be good for photo editing. I can't be completely sure. I think that touch stylus that is available, that I don't have to comment on, with a good piece of software that you're familiar with, like if Photoshop was on there, I would be able to demonstrate processing, and I would be able to say this is doing this quite quickly or otherwise. I can't do that with GIMP. I thought I would demonstrate graphics and photo editing on that, but I just can't work out how to use that. It might be good at that kind of thing. It might. I can see photo editing in the field as being something, this is, it's a purpose, it's a function that I could see people utilising it for. I don't know if it's good at it, but it makes me think, yeah, that would be worth a go. Gaming, forget it. I've seen other people do gaming on it and they seem to think it was okay. I imagine they had a keyboard plugged in. If you've got no keyboard plugged in, really it's not worth it. But my biggest concern is it's the stability. You saw me run into problems, and I don't know how many of those problems were caused by software and how many were caused by the thing itself. Certainly the keyboard vanishing, you can't blame the software. The thing with the handwriting recognition disappearing and refusing to come back, you can't blame the software. That is this, and that is, to me, that's a fault, and it's not excusable in something that costs what this thing costs. You shouldn't have to reboot because your keyboard disappeared. And I'm troubled by this. I've been given this as a free review copy. I know they will want a good and glowing review, and I try to be as balanced as I can, and I will point out the good things and I will point out the bad things and say, given these good things and given these bad things and looking at the cost, I leave it up to you whether you think this thing is worth the money, because sometimes it's hard to say. At this time, I'm looking at the good things and the bad things and the cost, and I feel very uncomfortable. I would feel very uncomfortable recommending this, given that the problems that I've had, and maybe I've just got a bad one, but I think it would be wrong for me to recommend it, given the issues that I've run into. I feel bad about that. I expect GearBest won't send me anything else to review in the future, but I have to be honest about it. I just can't recommend it. Sorry about that, Tony. I do appreciate you sending me all these goodies to review, but honesty is what it is, and this thing has faults that are not acceptable. If I had bought this with my own money, I would be sending it back. Okay. Thank you for watching.
You there, peasant! See that subscribe button? Be a good pleb and just click it. There's a good oik.